I'm John DeSando.
Classics, let's go to the movies and share some popcorn, soda pop with our friends. Turn off our cell phones and get away. Night or day, it's John DeSando on the radio. We'll watch the credits.
This special edition of Cinema Classics celebrates Ohio Goes to the Movies, a signature event of America 250 Ohio, and is co-produced by John DeSando and Mary Yerina and hosted by Mary Yerina. Listen to shows Thursdays at 8:01 p.m. on WCBE 90.5 FM, and listen to the shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm Mary Yerina.
And I'm Lisa Maggard.
And this is Cinema Classics. Lisa, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
And we're talking this week about a film that I have never seen before, but there's a strong Ohio connection. Can you tell us about The Hustler?
Well, The Hustler is a movie, kind of the end of the film noir type of programming, and it's about a pool hustler who looks out and seeks out a match with the legendary pool shark in the country. But along the way, he has to face a lot of demons and struggles with his managers and a woman that he falls in love with.
And I would definitely say it's at the tail end of that film noir era. It's also at the tail end of the black and white era. Colorization was definitely available to the filmmakers at this time, and yet it's shot in black and white, which I think just added so much to the environment. I was taken, we'll talk about Paul Newman in a minute, but I was taken by the environment because it won 2 Academy Awards for its black and white artistry, but 2, it was shot on location in New York City pool halls over a period of about 6 weeks. And I felt it gave it this moody, you felt like you were in the underworld.
You could smell the cigarette
Yeah,
smoke,
exactly.
which went on a lot.
It went on a lot, and you could definitely hear the glasses clinking at the bar constantly. So it really is a very moody film.
The black and white served it well, and I looked it up, and at this juncture in 1961 when it was shot, fully 50% of films were still being shot in black and white, so it was a choice, mainly because Technicolor was too expensive. But it really served it well, and the Set Decoration Academy Award was perfect. I mean, every ashtray, every neon sign, it was just beautifully put together. You could hear those billiard balls clinking.
Absolutely, and interestingly enough, this film did extremely well, even though it's very dark and very moody. It certainly had a lot to do with star power, but it also resurrected pool and billiards, which had been on the decline as a sport in the United States. So the power of film in this regard really set a trend for a sport or a game that was declining in popularity.
Yeah, people looked at it and said, I can do that indoors. And so, yeah, it was the writer, Walter Tevis, who wrote the book that it was based on, he spent a lot of time in pool halls. He loved pool halls, and he kind of likened them almost to sanctuaries when you walked into them, that feeling of, and the noise inside and the smells inside. So he likened pool to poetry.
And I would say Fast Eddie Felsen, who's played by the incredible Paul Newman in this, definitely the star power. There's a scene where he's talking to his love interest, Sarah, played by Piper Laurie, that he articulates his true passion for the sport itself and how beautiful it is when it's played well. And you're mentioning the author's reference to pool halls as cathedrals seems like a great match with that monologue delivered so beautifully by Paul Newman. And I think a lot of athletes reach a point in their careers, if they're that good, that they feel that way about the sport.
Yes, and it takes over all their bodies. He explained it as if there is a nerve running down the pool cue and up through his arm, and he can feel it, and he knew he was on.
Well, and Paul's not the only star power in this film. I mentioned Piper Laurie plays Sarah, his love interest. Was there any other performances that struck you about this film?
Oh, I think hands down the finest performance was George C. Scott. He was extraordinary, so refined. He reminded me of almost like a leopard up in a tree, just watching and waiting and watching Eddie Felson play. He became his manager. Not a real great one. I mean, he taught him how to beat Minnesota Fats, but and then he leapt and got his claws into Eddie Felson. But the way he was just so smooth and just a refined acting job.
And so he plays, the name of his character is Bert Gordon. And Bert, at the beginning, you get a sense of he's just a gambler, but then you get a sense that he's really controlling Minnesota Fats as part of his money-making empire. Then he gets his claws into Eddie.
Yeah.
And they take a trip to the Kentucky Derby where Eddie basically hustles with Bert's backing, this really wealthy billiards player during Kentucky Derby weekend. And so he makes it, but then tragedy strikes.
Yes, he kind of falls apart, and something awful happens with Sarah, which you'll have to watch the film to see, but which is also very different from the book, I might add.
Oh, I was going to ask you because I didn't read the book.
And it was the catalyst, really, winning that match, and what happens with Sarah is really the catalyst that makes him a whole man as a whole player, and turns from just a very talented pool player with not control over his confidence and his inner demons to being in control and knowing what it takes to have the internal character to add to the talent to beat somebody like a Minnesota Fats.
Well, and in the end, the film is set in this sports game arena of pool and billiards, but it really is about a man's journey to become morally and ethically who he was meant to be.
Right, it's definitely a man versus himself trope. It could be any venue, like the same author who wrote this book, The Hustler, also wrote The Queen's Gambit, which is another very niche sport, I guess you could call it a sport.
Game sport,
where
yeah,
it is a person struggling with themselves who's hugely talented, but how do you control that and work within the world to be a success in the world as well as at the table.
Well, another performance that struck me surprisingly, because I was never really a fan per se, was Jackie Gleason as Minnesota Fats. He doesn't have a lot of dialogue, but his manner around the pool table, and apparently rumor has it that all of his shots were his shots, which is why they shot them in wide angle. He really studied the game and learned how to become quite proficient at it. But he doesn't have a lot of dialogue, but his movement, his facial expressions, and then the final penultimate match between him and Eddie, and the respect that he expresses for him, you get the sense that he understands Eddie.
Oh yeah, and that nod and that smile was all you need. When you're very careful with your movements and what you say and what you give away to people, when you finally smile at them and give them congrats, it was big. Now, he had a very controlled performance, but even on Jackie Gleason's TV show, if you recall, even though he was a very big man, he was very balletic. His movements are very smooth and light, and he was the same in this movie, moving around that pool table almost like a dance.
I would agree, absolutely. And it was a surprising performance. Paul, on the other hand, when he holds the screen in any scene, you know you're looking at someone who is just really special in the acting realm. And I could not look away from him in any scene that he was in, because there was always something brewing with his character, even if he didn't have anything to say. He learned how to play pool, but his shots are generally Willie Mosconi's hands shooting. They would show him lining up the shot and occasionally taking a shot. but he did not become proficient enough for all the trick shots and things that they show. So Willie Mosconi, who was a very famous billiard player at the time, actually has a supporting role in this film. In addition to making the trick shots, he played Preacher, who holds the money.
Yeah, the nervous little guy.
The nervous guy who holds the money during all the shots. And I guess in the book, he's actually a junkie.
Yes.
But they didn't portray that.
No, he was a very minor character in the movie.
Well, they had to give him something else to do,
Yes.
apparently, because he was in charge of the trick shots for the Hustler. This film is also full of actors who really are quite a surprise. I had fun identifying Vincent Gardenia in an
Yes.
early role and Michael Constantine in an early role.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just really a great film because of all the layers of acting and how artistically it was shot. What do you think about? What would you recommend to our audience?
Well, I would love you to watch the book, back up. I would recommend you either read the book, which is very different from the film, and enjoy that as a book, which is a little more subtle and more internal into his thinking. But the movie, see the movie to see the development of his career, because he does have this magnetic personality, Eddie Felson, Mr. Paul Newman. But you can also see where he might have needed some of the edges filed off. And it was a little broad in some cases, the character he played. So in his field of what he's going to do to come, to see him develop as an actor, it's a good benchmark for that. Plus, it's just a really fun noir movie to be just set right back in that time period.
So grab a drink, light up a cigarette.
Oh, you need some JTS brown bourbon.
Exactly. Eddie's drink
Grab
of
a
choice.
no filter cigarette and some bourbon, and you're set to watch The Hustler.
And we'll talk more about The Hustler and Paul Newman's career on Double Take, our podcast experience at our website, WCBE.org. But for now, thank you for joining me for Cinema Classics.
Thanks, Mary.
I'm John DeSando.
Classics, let's go to the movies and share some popcorn, soda pop.